Well, seriously though, I want to open up today's Friday Live by asking everyone in the group a question. And you can participate if you'd like to by typing in the comments, because I've said this many times before, but even though I've lost 140 pounds and I've kept that weight off now for, I keep forgetting the number. It's like 7, 8 years. I don't know. I'm just going to start saying a decade because I think that will be easier to round up. Y'all know I'm not good with the math. It's lazy keto, right? Anyway, even though I've lost this weight and kept it off for quite a while, I know that you, the members of this group, and those that are listening, have a lot to share as well. So I encourage you to share your tips and your suggestions as often and as frequently as you feel comfortable. So please, 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 I encourage you to speak up. So here's the deal. Has anyone been in maintenance before? Anyone? You can raise your hand. You can write yes. Because for me, I've probably been here like a million times over my life, off and on. And then I would visit like this faraway land and stay like 5 minutes and then I'd leave. Did that happen to anyone else? Because maintenance is tricky. Like my entire life, I thought it was kind of like a Disneyland thing, right? I thought it was like a amusement park. Like I'm in Wonderland. I'm in maintenance land. Somehow I've made it to this fantasy experience where everything is perfect and there's, the weather is controlled and there's rides and fun and balloons, right? I know I'm being kind of silly, but truthfully, I think I grew up thinking that way. I expected that if I got to my goal weight or if I achieved what I was setting out to do, then my problem would be over. Has anyone else experienced that? Because I had totally done that. And it's funny. I don't know why I would think that. I mean, that doesn't make a lot of common sense. But I've done that over and over again in my life where I just thought, well, if I could just lose the weight, it like a flu or an infection. And if I get rid of it, then it never comes back. That's not the case. Not for me anyway. Maybe for someone else, but for me, my weight issue and being overweight and being obese wasn't something I could just, cure. It's been a struggle and it's something that I deal with every single day. And I don't think it's going to go away for me. So I want to share what's working for me. But please, in the comments, share what's working for you. If you've been to maintenance, if you're in maintenance right now, tell us what has helped you. Give us some advice and share your experience because we're in this together, friends. Right? Say yes. Okay. You're still laughing at me because I have Disney ears on. Yeah, I know. Well, here's another thing I think happens when we're talking about maintenance. First of all, what is maintenance? I think maintenance happens and it begins once you achieve your goal. Now, goal can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. Now, a lot of us just assume that we're talking about the scale. We're like, oh, you must have lost, X amount of weight, pounds. Now your BMI is in the specific range or your doctor recommended it. All that stuff. I don't think so. Personally, I think your weight is a personal decision. I remember going to Weight Watcher meetings and having them on the first day tell me what my goal was. And they would write it in this little booklet. And I can still picture the lady's handwriting, believe it or not, on that little Weight Watcher booklet where she wrote how much I had to weigh in order to go to like the maintenance phase. And I remember hating that number. And I can still see it like in the blue ballpoint pen in the tri-folded brochure. And it made me so sad because I didn't think it was attainable. And I dreaded looking at that little folder. I hated weigh-ins. I just felt horrible about myself. So I want to assure you that if you are choosing a goal that's not weight related, I think that's completely acceptable. And so your maintenance phase for Dirty Lazy Keto, it could begin by what you determine, nobody else. So I know a lot of folks in Dirty Lazy Keto have shared their goal is to get off medication, like blood pressure medication, high cholesterol medication, insulin shots, or any kind of diabetes related migraine medicine. I mean, the list goes on and on. PCOS problems, thyroid issues. Like a lot of people, their goal is just to be a healthier human being and to stop taking so much pills and medicine from their doctor. So that could be, obviously you're going to work with your doctor here, but that could be your plan. That could be your goal. So once you get off one of those medicines with your doctor's cooperation, not Stephanie's. Stephanie's not a doctor. But once you are able to get off that medicine, you've entered maintenance. You see what I mean? I think we have to kind of twist how we look at stuff. A lot of people have a goal that might be exercise related, like being able to climb the steps without having, like, losing their breath, or being able to walk a certain distance. Some of you might actually have a goal of doing a race, or being able to jog, or being able to run. For me, this was like an accidental wish of mine. In the beginning, I thought, I'm just trying to lose weight, people. I don't really know what I want. You know what I mean? But as my journey progressed and I had lost, 140 pounds, as I got closer and closer to losing weight, I started doing crazy stuff that I had never dreamed of, like walking, or I know it sounds like I never dreamed of that, but I didn't. I never dreamed I'd be the kind of person that would get up early with an alarm clock, put on athletic wear and be walking around my neighborhood, let alone jogging. So if you're the kind of person who's motivated and has a goal to, like, maybe run a 5K or walk a 5K or compete in a sporting event, I think that's doable. And that can be something that you can celebrate. And then once you achieve that goal, you've got to maintain it, right? Just as a side note, this is a medal from when I finished the New York City Marathon in 2017. And I went to New York City to run this marathon as a sponsored athlete from Power Bar. I know, right? Isn't that crazy? Like, here I went from running my very first mile at the age of 40. I wasn't even able to walk a mile, I don't think, until I had lost my weight. I don't want to start crying. But I mean, really, it's ridiculous the amount of things that we can do when we put our mind to it. So maybe stop thinking so much about what weight loss and weight maintenance is going to look like when you hit a certain number on the scale, and maybe start thinking about a different goal that you could maintain. It might have to do with medicine or physical exercise, or it could be about something else entirely. But it's up to you. That's my point. I think I should take these off. But really, though, I think the scale is a moving target. I know for me, when I was losing weight and after I lost 140 pounds, for me, the scale went up and down. And that really, really freaked me out at first. I was like, well, I thought I would just lose the weight and then it would never come back on. Has anyone else thought that? Like, I thought once it was done, it was done. So that has actually been something very surprising for me during my weight loss maintenance journey over the last almost decade, was how my weight still continues to fluctuate. And that's normal. It can be a little scary to people, I think, when it happens. But I feel like I have the tools now where I'm not going to freak out. I'm using the same tools in maintenance as when I was losing weight. The same exact strategies, the same beliefs, the same foods. So let's get into that a little bit more. Sound good? All right. One of the things I do to help keep myself on track, and this has nothing to do with the scale, but I do pay attention to my rings and how they're fitting. I can tell right away if I'm starting to swell up or eat too much. That's a fancier way of putting it, right? Because we all know that we make up lies to ourselves. So this is kind of like a little bit different. I know how they fit in the morning. I know how they fit in the evening. But my rings shouldn't fit a certain way if I'm at my goal weight. So I use this as a little bit of a feedback, if you will, like honest feedback that's subtle. that only I know about, but it's helpful. And it's something that you can do too. This one might make you laugh. Now, we all have our favorite clothes, and this happens to be mine. I'm going to show you mine. Of course, it's pink, right? So here is my very favorite pink Hawaiian dress that I bought at a thrift store in Hawaii for a couple bucks. Now, at the time, I didn't realize how important this dress was going to be, but I think it was the very first time I'd gone to Hawaii and I had lost 140 pounds and I could fit in it. And it was like in the normal people store, you know what I mean? The size is cut out, but it's probably like a small. But here's the deal. I wore it in the Christmas card that year and it fit great. And then the next Christmas came around and I was like, I wonder if I still fit in that dress. So I tried it on at Christmas time. And then the next Christmas came around. And then I tried it on at Christmas time. So I keep this dress in my closet as like my little, litmus test. It's like, am I still on track? How am I doing? Do I still feel good about myself in that outfit? Or am I having trouble zipping it up? For me, that's feedback. And you'll laugh, but I take my Christmas card picture with my family every year in this dress. So if you've ever gotten a Christmas card from me, more than likely I'm wearing this pink dress. Like I think I've worn it, I don't know, 4 or 5 times out of the last 8. It's crazy, right? But I'm really proud of the fact that I fit in it. And some years it's a little tighter to zip up than others. But I still fit in it. And guess what I'll be wearing this year in my Christmas card? I'll be wearing it because it makes me feel proud. It keeps me on track. That's part of maintenance. It's not like this magical place like Disneyland where everything's perfect. I think it's really normal, and I'd be lying if I said otherwise. Here's another hat. I think it's really normal to like test the waters. Okay, are you laughing now? I try to be silly because this topic is kind of painful sometimes, so I want to be kind of fun and obnoxious and memorable. But think about this, like it's totally normal as you're losing weight. You might have lost 10 pounds right now, 20, 30, 50, 100. It's totally normal for you to start testing the waters. And what I mean by that is eating more and maybe reintroducing foods that normally were like off limits for you. I think that's normal. You'll find out what's going to work for you. Some people can find they can add more carbs to their diet. Some people find they can maybe sneak in a little piece of bread or sugary type food once in a while. That is not me. I'll just be straight with you guys. That has not been my experience. I still have issues with food. I still have trigger foods. There are certain foods that will set me off where I just can't stop eating. So I have to be aware of my issues and my triggers and work around them. For me, I'm going to still eat more of the same foods. So in Dirty Lazy Keto, Get Started Losing Weight, I basically, over the last almost decade, have kept track of all the foods that I eat. And when this book was published, it was like actually a last minute thing. Originally, it wasn't going to be in the book. But I decided to include all of my foods. So it's on page, better put my glasses on. Oh no, I lost them. This is upsetting. Here we go. All right, the food list starts on page 233, and it is about 15, 16 pages long, plus there's a whole additional section of alcohol. So these are all the foods that I eat. And what I'm doing on maintenance is I'm just eating more of them. So maybe more foods that are low in net carb. I just eat a little bit more. Does that make sense? It's not an exact science. It's not like, oh, you get to add 2, you get to add 3, you get to add, no. For me, it's just eat a little bit more, see what happens. Yes, I might get on the scale and it might go up a little bit. Then I'm like, ooh, Stephanie needs to back off those protein bars or maybe not have extra cocktail that night. I also am going to pay attention to my rings and how they're fitting. I'm also going to make sure I try on that dress every once in a while. And all of that information together will give me more feedback about how I'm doing. I hope that's helpful because this is honest. Like, I'm not kidding around here. Okay. But as I was losing weight, I think it's important to talk about some of the behaviors that changed for me during my journey, which I'm continuing to work on. Again, these things don't happen like overnight. Should I take this off? Y'all done laughing? Okay. This is an interesting thing. On page 126 of Dirty Lazy Keto Get Started, if you have your book at home, I just really point out the fact that your weight loss goal doesn't require anyone else's stamp of approval. I know a lot of us grew up in homes where our mothers, our grandmothers, maybe our family doctor, or even our spouses, they pick at us. And they tell us what we should wear or what size pants we should wear. And I'd like to push back on that. I want you to decide what's going to work best for you. Because if you're going to do this forever and go to maintenance, this needs to be your choice and be meaningful to you. Okay? So I just want to read this little paragraph to you because I think it really speaks to what we're discussing. Thank you. It's on page 126. Your weight loss goal doesn't need anyone else's stamp of approval. The goal doesn't even need to align to the evil BMI. This is your life and your body. Only you get to make decisions about how much you'd like to weigh. Your goal might not even be weight related. For example, your objective might be to lower your blood pressure or to stop taking diabetes medication under the supervision of your doctor, of course. Maybe you dream of running a 5K race, wearing a ring that hasn't fit in years, or being able to cross your legs with ease. These are acceptable goals. Whatever you choose, write it down. Be proud. Be proud of what you've decided to work toward and to maintain, because you know what? The journey of maintenance doesn't start on the last day. It starts on the first. Write that down. That was deep, right? It's true, though. The things that I'm doing to keep 140 pounds off are the exact same things I did on day 1 and on day 5 and on day 20. And if you don't do those things, the weight won't keep off. It'll come back. And I think, raise your hand. Have you been there before? Because I have. I've totally been there and done that. And it's the worst. If you've lost a lot of weight in the past and you've kept it off for a while, kudos to you, because it's very hard to do. But you're not alone if that didn't last long. If you're not alone, okay? I did the same thing where I'd lost a bunch of weight and I didn't really focus on myself. I was so focused on just the food and measuring and weighing and maybe tracking and points. And I never really thought about what was changing inside for me. I want to just have you guys flip to another page in your book on page 306. This one's a little bit more deep. There's no Disney hat for this one. This is a story about when I went to a gym. I'll get my weight out to show you. I went to join a gym for the first time, and I just lost a lot of weight. This is not on Dirty Lazy Keto. This is a million years ago. I just lost a lot of weight, and I thought, well, I needed to tone up because I had like blah, 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 right? I had that like weird skin thing going on, and I just, I thought that's what people did, honestly. I'll set this down. So this is a story about when I went to a gym for the first time. And this is what the lady said to me, the cute, little employee up front. "What's your motivation for coming into the gym today?" she probed, hoping to gain insight for closing a membership deal. I've lost weight and now I want to tone up, I guess. "Right. You're still skinny fat," the nipplehead assessed with a plastered, bleached smile. Her words, though likely coached from a manager on how to sell a membership, cut to my core. Her skinny fat comment made me feel completely ashamed about my new figure. I felt raw and out of place. What was I thinking trying to sign up for a gym? Sadly, I smiled and I agreed with her. On the inside, however, I was convinced she was right. My reduced weight was still not good enough. I did not belong at the gym, and I would never be part of the beautiful people no matter how hard I tried. However twisted, that was my mentality at the time. Sure, I had lost weight, but my self-esteem had not changed. Mentally, I was stuck in the past. I was angry and resentful about having to do all this upkeep like joining a gym. I didn't quite get it yet. I was so focused on changing the number on the scale that I forgot about what was actually important, feeling good in my skin again. It's not surprising that I gained all that weight back. Does that sound familiar to anyone? Because like telling that story is horrible to me. I was in my 20s and I mean, that was a long time ago. But for me, telling that story, it's like I'm right back there. Like right back there. How I felt inside, and that girl probably didn't mean anything. But how small I felt. Like, even though I lost weight, I felt horrible. I hadn't applied any of the new skills that I should have learned. So, if I may encourage you, while you're losing weight, focus on these strategies all along. Don't wait till the end. Don't wait till the finish line when you've quote unquote lost all your weight, and then start dealing with self-esteem, confidence, trying new things, standing up for yourself, not letting your spouse or your mother or your grandmother or your coworkers, not letting those people boss you around or make backhanded compliments. Because if you don't practice doing that now, you won't be able to do it once you've lost your weight or achieved your goal. You'll still be having the same situation. So nothing magical happens, I think, is my point. I think we have to practice these skills throughout our journey and not wait for the end. I should go like this. That was a big moment. I hope you're listening. All right, well, I'll wrap this up. I have a couple more things to share with you, and these are just more practical tips. If you are going to a party, I know that can be stressful. Practice doing this along your journey where you're bringing foods that are appropriate for you. I still do that in maintenance phase. Nothing's changed. Some of the foods that I bring, I have a few go-to things. This is from the Dirt Cheap Cookbook, which I know a lot of you have. On page, let me get the glasses on. Page 92. This one's fun. It's called the Debt Diet Police Kebabs. Isn't that cute? And I don't know if you guys know this, if you don't have the cookbook, but I tell a little story before every recipe about how it relates to Dirty Lazy Keto and just trying to motivate you and get in the spirit. And I kind of talk about pushers at parties and just offer strategies on what you can do to stand up for yourself and to advocate for your own health so that you don't feel uncomfortable. And I made a joke in the story about how when you're done eating your diet kebab, you can use the spear to like fight back to the keto police or the food police or your grandma. But there's lots of great strategies in here because social situations, especially at the holidays, I think can be traumatizing for people, especially during their weight loss journey. When we get together with family, they're going to start saying stuff like, oh, wow, you look different. Oh, wow. Huh, what's new? Did you get a new haircut? They're going to stare at you all weird because you've lost some weight or a lot of weight. And some of their comments might be rude and hurtful. So I think it's important to be prepared for that because that can be something you have to deal with in maintenance. So learn to deal with that now in little baby steps along the way. That way, once you've finished, quote unquote, losing your weight, you are more confident and prepared to handle the changes, the big changes in your life. Should I ding again? That was deep. I know. But anyway, there's tons of great recipes in here. If you haven't flipped through already, another one of my favorite, this is called cerveza dip. It's basically like a beer dip. You can see the picture. Like a cheesy beer dip. You can show up to any party with a beer dip and have lots of friends. Let's be real. You just have to bring some vegetables for yourself. All right. I know we're wrapping up today, so I'm going to get to the point here. But the bottom line is focusing on the benefits of your weight loss, focusing on what got you there in the first place. That's maintenance. That's it. You just figure out what you were doing in the beginning, what worked, and you just keep on, keep on. I remember going to the doctor for a checkup after I lost all my weight and saying, what do I do now? Like, do you have any ideas or feedback or tips? And my doctor was like, yeah, just keep doing what you're doing. Don't change. And I remember thinking, really? Like, don't I get to stop now? But he's right. I mean, that's it. You just keep on, keep on. You just keep on doing what you're doing. You know, I hold up this giant thing of foods and stuff. I just keep eating the same foods, the same healthy foods that I have been eating during my journey. I'm not changing anything. And you guys have seen all these foods before, and I'll rattle them off here and hold them up real quick because I know you're like, what's in there? But I just grabbed a handful of things. I mean, I still eat eggs all the time. I'm still using sugar-free sweetener. I'm not using regular sugar. I'm still eating my pound of celery a day, the expensive celery, because I'm worth it. I eat an avocado, probably a half of one, every single day. I love the fat. I eat tons of greens, like green beans or salads. I cook everything in the air fryer lately. I love that air fryer. I use olive oil to make all my foods taste good, or coconut oil, pesto, Alfredo, butter. I use sugar-free sweeteners in my water. I have a Jell-O smoothie every single night after dinner. That's in the first cookbook. I'm constantly eating very large portions. Not this. Look how small this is. No. My salad is like 10 times this size. And I still have dairy, but just not a lot. I'm careful about it. I have my yogurt in the morning, and that's about it. So that's it, friends. I hope I answered some of your questions about maintenance, because I believe you can do this too. The journey starts now. Don't wait until you've quote-unquote finished and gotten to goal to start these behaviors. Start them now, every little step along the way. That's it. Deep, right? I'll do a gong. I just wanted to say thank you for listening. I appreciate your support. This is a community, Dirty Lazy Keto. We have to help each other. We're in this together, my friends. It's not easy, is it? We gotta support one another. So if you found today's video to be helpful, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and then subscribe to the Dirty Lazy Keto YouTube channel. Turn on your notifications so you'll never miss an update. You can also find me on Instagram at Dirty Lazy Keto. And for more information about any of my support groups or any of my books, you can always go to dirtylazyketo.com for more information. I'm here to support you. I'm here to help. I know you can do it.